My name is Rob Latreille.
Tell me about yourself. What do you do for work?
Demolition, construction, just contract work. Play some guitar, play some piano, do some ghost hunting. I'm willing to communicate with you. Anybody that's here, any spirit, any entity. Yeah, so it's a pal of mine, Nolan.
Whoa.
What
are you picking up over here?
He started the group. Well, first it was a Facebook post, right? Just looking for people that might be interested in joining a paranormal investigation team. So, you know, I kind of threw my hand up and was like, yeah, absolutely, right? This is right up my alley. My name is Rob. This is Nolan. That is Cam.
And I'm Haley.
Haley.
Heavy energies, like, just feels like a lot of people have been in here. Yeah. That's right, the impression I'm getting.
More residual than I think.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do it one more time. I'm going to put some stance into it. Did you hear that one?
They've got their varying levels of knowledge and they're a really great group. So, hell yeah.
It's a very healthy looking baby.
Magnificent blue eyes. These are people with positive energy that I really don't mind delving into that world with. So, you know, it's been kind of a blast. Yeah. That's me.
What?
What do you mean that's you?
That's me.
Did you?
You're making a cat
That
noise?
cat bomb.
The 2 times I thought I had a good.
Like many other people, alcohol was an escape. It was an escape from reality. It's using it to sort of bypass a lot of real things that you would be feeling, or otherwise avoid things that you have to do or you have to deal with, and it's an escape. I was using alcohol by the end of it. Again, I don't think that I was always like that, but it developed. It stopped being my friend, and I didn't like the person that I was becoming. That anger and that negativity, that's there regardless, but the drinking definitely amplifies it. And it can get a little bit scary for a little kid, right? So, yeah, quitting drinking was absolutely for her. Well, she's a great human being. Anybody should aspire to be more like her. Sorry. You know, I can only imagine how rough it would have been for her. So, now, you know, she's a bright, really smart kid. She knows what's going on around her. There's no fooling her. So she's maintains positivity, but she's also very realistic. You know, she's a realistic kid. She's artistic for sure, and you know, I'm proud of the person that she's becoming, for sure.
So this sensor, it's a motion detector, easy enough to understand. If something passes in front of it, it will go off. This one in particular is a lot of fun because
Great.
你好，欢迎光临。
Yeah.
that's how you save money on ghost hunting, Jim.
I suppose other than just the general fascination, lately there's been a sort of drive to want to understand a little bit more of the afterlife, what that might look like. Regarding my brother, yeah, that's been a big component of it for sure. The sort of effects that a suicide has on a person, especially if it's somebody that's close with you, somebody that you admire, to choose that path, you'll start to notice that things just change. You start to look at the world a little bit more negatively. And that's kind of the route that I was going. So I ended up drinking maybe a little too much and looking at the world just a little meaner. That's something that, you know, eventually led to me having to decide that I had to change my entire lifestyle. So
if you consider time as a geometric dimension, so imagine the shape of what the world spinning and hurtling through space would look like if every frame of that existed simultaneously. It would be one amorphous shape. And imagine being a being that could look at that. You could look at tomorrow, you could look at yesterday, you could look at today just by looking at different points on this object that you can perceive. So when Rob's talking about like 4, 5, 77 dimensional beings, think of like those different things and what that, like the possibilities are endless, which makes this job particularly difficult.
So looking between the cracks of reality is just fascinating. It's just fascinating to sort of come to the realization that there's something more than what we can feel, see, touch, and smell, right? There's something beyond our 4 senses regardless. And the great question of why it's fascinating, that's a very subjective thing, I suppose, right? Like why I find that fascinating is, well, because my brother, I guess, is the biggest thing. To flesh that a little bit more, specifically regarding why I'm fascinated regarding like afterlife, forgetting about aliens and 5th dimensional, 6th dimensional beings and whatnot, right? If we're thinking about just straight up at the afterlife, it's, yeah, I'm really hoping to learn what that might actually look like for him specifically. If somebody's in a really hopeless state of despair and they decide to take their own life, how does that transfer through to an afterlife? That's a question that I'd hope to answer. It's similar to if somebody were to die peacefully in their bed, what would that look like? If somebody has a strong sense of negative emotion that's bound to this world, that's bound to the physical world, maybe that's what we're seeing. Maybe we're seeing these connections in a negative sort of way. It's something that I think transfers through into an afterlife is the emotional value. And I wasn't always like an angry drunk. It stemmed from something. It stemmed from experiences and emotions that I didn't really express properly. And you could look back and you could dwell on all that stuff, and dwelling on it will definitely affect how you look forward and how you move forward. So it's a choice to either dwell on it or to take it as a lesson. Taking everything, you know, like I'm sure you guys do the same thing. You learn from your mistakes and it makes you a better person. So not so much haunted by the past as much as I'm going to remember it. And remember that dwelling on negativity and using a vice that amplifies that negativity doesn't make a bright future. Doesn't help you out. Okay, well, on to the next spot.
There's a hill at the bottom of the valley, poor soul ghost. You're never gonna make it out alive. There's a village at the bottom of the hill.